Thank you very much. First of all, I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the leadership of Elizabeth Warren. Before I got to the Senate, from some 13 years ago, she was a bright light in calling out issues that were just absurd. The fact that back then you taught me really how much money, billions of dollars, the federal government was making off of the backs of young people. This should not be a profit center. It should not be a time to take advantage and charge usury rates, trap people in lifetimes of drowning debt. It should be a pathway, not just to a better life for the borrower or for the student, but really for a better America. Because we know the greatest natural resource that any nation can have in a global knowledge-based society is the genius of its young people. This nation should be doing so much more, helping people have pathways to higher education, towards training, towards apprenticeship programs, towards making sure that they can manifest their genius and their dreams in a world that desperately needs the best from folks. And so this spotlight hearing is a consistent pattern of passionate, really, to me, leadership from Elizabeth Warren, and I'm grateful to be one of the members who's benefited from her strength, from her leadership, from her example, and to be able to join her, not just today, but in a lot of this work has been one of the more gratifying parts of my time in the Senate. And so I want to jump right in because we've got this extraordinary panel. I don't know if you noticed this, sandwiched by Bonnie's. It's very important. It's a very important here. We've got some Bonnie power going on. But I want to jump right in because we know how much abuse there is in this sector, how many people are seeking to take advantage of our students. Mohila and other servicers have faced repeated criticism for mishandling student loans, failing to send timely bills, offering incorrect repayment guidance, and contributing to the distress of so many borrowers throughout the nation. In Jersey, the stakes are really high. 1.2 million borrowers hold a collective of $43.3 billion in student debt with an average balance of $37,201. This is among the nation's highest. Now, meanwhile, the Trump administration now has actually slashed oversight at the Department of Education, holding these folks accountable, cutting half of the federal student aid's staff, including those monitoring loan servicers, processing complaints from American citizens, and administrating relief through borrower defense, through the people that were standing up for the borrowers. This has resulted from in unanswered complaints and growing mistrust. So, to the Bonnie on my left, given your experience at the Department of Education and seeing this dismantling of borrower support under the Trump administration, what reforms are most urgently needed now to restore what every American should want, which is accountability for servicers, like the one I mentioned at the top?
It's tough to say what is most important when so many things are broken and they are breaking more and more things every day. But I think it's important to reiterate that right now, more than 10,000 borrowers haven't received an answer to their complaint. This means they can't get an answer to why they can't enroll in income-driven repayment plans, why they can't access loan forgiveness programs like public service loan forgiveness, like borrower defense, or basic questions about, like, how can I get my billing statement sent for the correct amount? How can I make sure my payment is going to the right place? And without these basic fundamental protections, borrowers don't stand a chance. I will say, even with I was quite literally the nation's expert in navigating student loan problems, and my student loan servicer still screwed up my loans. And if they can't do my loans correctly, normal people don't stand a chance.
Right, because they don't have an advocate. These are powerful companies that can often inflict real harm and damage to them, their credit reports, and more, correct?
Yeah, student loan debt, even if a borrower does everything right and their servicer does everything right, we still see a ripple effect across their financial life. Higher rates for home mortgages, struggling to buy a car, delayed retirement. When their student loans get knocked off track, all of those ramifications are amplified. And then if a borrower is in default, good luck. We could even take their passport if they're in default. And so we need to make sure that student loan servicers are following the law and giving borrowers access to the repayment protections promised by Congress, and the Department of Education is supposed to uphold.
All right, Jonathan, I want to turn to you because number one, You are literally surrounded by powerful women behind you, to the left, to the right, in front of you. You're a very, very lucky man. You should feel safe, secure, centered. So I want to put you in the spot as your fellow bald-headed brown man. I'm a little jealous that I have to leave, but you get to stay centered in this extraordinary room. You're a very, very lucky person. But let me lean on some of your wisdom, if I may. Your testimony that you gave was just sobering and with such detail. You illuminated really the compounding harm caused by executive and legislative attacks on borrower protections, and that to me is a story that needs to be told. Republicans in Congress have advanced legislation that would eliminate subsidized and Grad Plus loans, slash Pell Grants, tighten eligibility, making it harder for people to qualify for Pell Grants, extend income-driven repayments they want to do to 30 years, eliminate the gainful employment and 90-10 rules. They want to weaken borrower defense and closed school discharge. In New Jersey, again, as I said, 1.2 million borrowers struggling under these policies and with the sword of Damocles of the threatened legislation that seems to be coming. So based on your research and the work of the Student Loan Law Initiative, what specific legislative or regulatory actions would you recommend Congress take to protect access and affordability for students, particularly if the proposed GOP legislation becomes law in this country, which would be terrifying?
That's actually much easier to answer than the last question. I think the answer is undo what this legislation would do. I think the borrower defense to repayment rules are essential. I think a version of the gainful employment rule is essential. I think restoring and, in fact, increasing Pell Grants, these are essential steps to preserve the accessibility of higher education for working class families.
Well, before I leave you centered amongst these extraordinarily strong people, I do want to say that I'm very proud to have partnered with Elizabeth Warren in introducing legislation today to suspend wage garnishment for student loan borrowers. This is such important legislation. And this is the kind of thing that we need to continue to fight. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. We are in a dark moment. We do have these bills coming that threaten to do such harm, but the extraordinary leader to my left gives me strength. The people who are here give me strength and hope. We are going to overcome these challenges and create a nation like we should, where the American dream is possible for anyone with the grit, guts, and determination to advance their education, their training, sees greater and greater opportunities for them to contribute to this nation. So thank you, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Senator Buckler.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.